Get fucking pumped. You guys look fucking dead. What the fuck is this? This is why our ratings are so down.
Who's going? No, I'm just kidding.
Methylene blue.
Methylene blue.
Do you guys believe in curses?
Yeah,
What kind of curses?
Yeah.
Are we talking like ancient mummy curses? Or
Yeah.
are we talking
Anything.
like deathbed
Baseball
curses?
curses?
Yeah.
The Bambino?
You guys heard of him? You guys know of any?
Why did you guys look at me? I said the Bambino, and you guys were all like,
We're waiting for
you're
you
the
to
baseball
finish.
people. The curse of the Bambino.
What's that?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That was like the curse that
The-
wouldn't let the Red Sox win a World
They broke it.
Series.
They had Babe Ruth.
They
Then he got
traded.
traded to the Yankees, and then like they never won anything in like 90 years.
It was like the one.
So-
of the
Oh, so
worst
you know
trade
about it. You're
ever.
sitting here like looking at me like I'm a fucking three-headed fish.
So can curses be broken? That curse was broken?
It was
Yeah.
broken. Yeah, it took a while. It took
But-
86 years, right?
Oof.
It was broken in epic fashion. So yeah, curses. They're real, son.
All right, well, you know the name. Guinness. Legendary Irish beer, dark, rich, a whole vibe. But behind that smooth pint is a family story that is anything but smooth. Tragedies, scandals, overdoses, kidnappings, and even fascists. Some say it's a cautionary tale about too much money and a little bit of accountability. Others think it's a real curse. But maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle, a story about what happens when legacy gets too heavy to carry. I'm not dumb, but is the Guinness family cursed? I'm Rob, your host for today, joined by
Hi, Rob.
the man who can bankrupt a podcast with no budget, Caesar.
Yep.
Ooh.
Our boy who's one step away from starting his own podcast, Victor.
How y'all doing?
And technically a co-host, but spiritually just a listener with a mic, Chris.
Yo, what's up?
So let's start at the very beginning, as we usually do. Arthur Guinness, born in 1725 near Selbridge, County Kildare. His father, Richard Guinness, worked as a land steward for the Archbishop of Cashel, Arthur Price. So a part of Richard's job
Wait, are these real places? Or are you talking like
Yeah.
Middle Earth? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, what's
in
going on?
Ireland. In Ireland.
Oh, in Ireland.
Ireland, you say?
Ireland.
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 He's wiry. He's wiry.
Maybe no accent.
I was going to do a Jamaican accent.
So-
Forgot.
yeah, everything devolves to that.
It's an island. It's an island.
Yeah. Bia.
He's from the south.
Yeah. The
Southern Ireland.
Yeah, Southern Ireland. Yeah.
Southern West Island. So his father, Richard Guinness, worked as a land steward for the Archbishop of Cashel, Arthur Price. And part of Richard's job included brewing beer for the estate. So that's kind of where Arthur Guinness picked up this skill.
What kind of beer?
I don't know what kind of beer, man. You're fucking this up.
He
just
just
brewed
asking
beer.
a question.
He just brewed beer, okay?
All right.
Just leave it at
But
that.
not Guinness.
Not Guinness, not
was,
Guinness.
Was it a different stout?
It was, I don't even think it was a stout.
Whoa.
I think he just, yeah.
Whoa.
They had different types of beers then. I was going into it, but then I just got into a whole fucking
Beer
It was a nice
history.
light beer.
Yeah, it would turn into a beer history, and I was
Yeah,
like, I'm not
it
doing
was-
this. So when the Archbishop died in 1752, he left 100 pounds to Arthur in his will, which is a small fortune at the time. I looked it up. It was like almost $30,000 in today's money.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's big
So-
bucks back then.
So yeah, Arthur used that money to start his first brewery, and I don't even know how to say this, Leixlip?
No relation at all, and I just headbutted him and he got taken away.
He later made a bold move to Dublin and signing the legendary 9,000-year lease at St. James Gate, launching what would become Guinness Brewing Company, right?
Wait, hold on. He signed the lease for 9,000 years?
He didn't actually own the property. He didn't buy the property. He leased it for 9,000 years.
So when is it set to expire? Do you know?
That's kind of a ridiculous
Well,
thing.
in the 1750s.
Did someone put like too many zeros?
No.
He goes literally for 9,000 years.
That's
you
such
at
a
least this.
random number.
9,000
right?
years. Yeah. But imagine what that rent is. Probably real cheap.
I mean, it's in potatoes, so
That's racist.
they're Irish.
That's racist.
They're taking their country back. President McGregor is
yeah.
gonna turn that place
They-
around.
He's young.
When's he running?
I don't know. I don't know how.
After he does Roadhouse 2. He's going to film the movie and then go be the president.
Where the fuck is everyone?
So Arthur Guinness had 21 children. But get this, he outlived more than half of them. 11 of his children died before adulthood, but that was not the curse. And the thing is, in the 18th century, apparently child mortality rates were like extremely high. So this was very, very normal for this time.
Kids die very easily. They're
Yeah.
just useless.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
You got to watch them constantly. Could you watch 21 children?
I imagine with the same woman.
But Arthur lived a long and a successful, almost blessed life. He made tons of money, lived to 78 years old, which was double the average life expectancy at the time.
Now, with 21 kids, do you start reusing names?
You probably do. If you lose one, you're just like, yeah, this is John too.
John,
Yeah.
John number 2.
It saves on the paperwork and a lot of customized clothes.
So before we get deeper into this chaos, let's take a proper look at Guinness appreciation. So if you ever find yourself in a real Irish pub, you're said to do this to not mess it up. Okay, so first of all, when you order a Guinness, you have to make sure that your head is high and you're looking at the horizon and the Guinness comes to you. You don't go to the Guinness. Drinking with a straight back and looking to the horizon allows you to enjoy the foam and the flavors underneath of the beer as well. And then the other thing with the whole pour, they call it surge and settle. Guinness is poured in 2 stages, right? So you pour it up to like the harp and you let it sit for 90 seconds and you let the nitrogen settle, get that creamy head, and then you hit it again and get it up to the top. So the whole thing is, if you ever get your Guinness really quick, that's a complete red flag. The bartender did not pour it correctly.
Yeah, I know. Like, hey.
Yeah.
I didn't order this. I had the Bud Light. Like, what is this? Yeah.
That's Caesar ordering a Guinness.
Yeah.
Do they drink it warm?
Yes. So the first Guinness is actually, it was warmer, and they didn't start using nitrogen till like the 1900s. So it wasn't foamy. It didn't have all this stuff. They said they added that later as a enhanced shelf life and flavors. But the original Guinness that Arthur Guinness was creating, it was a stout, but it was much more flat, and they said it was actually a little more earthy and sour than the Guinness we drink today.
Is that still how they drink it in Ireland or in that area?
In Ireland, I remember it being warmer, but
Right.
I also remember in Europe they do like it cold, and they some of the places have a sub-zero tap where they like ultra freeze the Guinness, and then
Whoa.
you have it that way. Yeah, I've had it that way, but it is usually warmer than what we get today.
Well, yeah, I think from what I heard, it's like it's not warm, but it's like 50 degrees kind of thing. It's like it's
Yeah,
like
I don't think it's
basement
like-
cool.
Right. I don't think it's like German beer warm.
Germans?
Then the 20th century hits and it all goes sideways for the Guinness family. All right. So one of the major tragedies is the assassination of Lord Moyne.
Did Harry Potter do that? Or
No,
Oh.
no, that's
I was. That book got rejected, actually.
So the assassination of Lord Moyne. So he was born Walter Edward Guinness, and he was Arthur's great-great-grandson and a British politician. He was also said to be a friend of Winston Churchill. So in 1944,
Traitor.
that was like a whole thing with the Guinness family on how they worked with the British, and that's how they got really rich when Ireland was going through their potato famine. Again, they did a lot of like good things for Ireland, so it was kind of a wash. That's how it's looked at politically.
Okay, can we forget that?
So in 1944, while serving as a British British minister resident in the Middle East, Lord Moyne was pulling into his residence in Cairo when 2 members of the Lehigh, an underground extremist group, they shot and killed his chauffeur and then fired into Moyne's car. He was rushed to the hospital but died later that day. It wasn't a personal tragedy, but this was like a geopolitical flashpoint in this time. So this was a big topic. A Guinness guy got killed, 1944s, but then it kept happening, right? It kept happening.
They kept on killing the
To
same
himself?
guy.
They kept killing the same guy.
Yeah,
They
this
shot the
guy's
guy 10
Groundhog
times. He
Day.
kept coming back to life. It was
I
really
know.
weird. Yeah, the
It's like-
whole thing was really
It's like
weird.
Bill Murray keeps dying.
Until he finds.
Well, this
the
was in
right
1944.
way.
But this wasn't the first time that Guinness was killed or died or murdered or something happened, right? This was just like a huge politicized one. So earlier in 1932, there was this guy named Brian Guinness, right? And he was like a socialite, really popular guy. And he got married to a woman called Diana Mitford, right? So they were like socialites. They were like the Kardashians. They were just everywhere. They were called like the bright young things. So it was just like people in the 1920s, super wealthy, having a great time, and basically became like...
Would her sex tape just been drawn out in a newspaper?
Well, her sex tape was pretty interesting, right? So Brian and Diana were London's it couple. Now the thing is that in 1932, Diana met a man named Sir Oswald Mosley, who would go on to found the British Union of Fascists. She left Brian and their 2 sons for Mosley and married a man in Berlin.
I think I saw him in Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Right? That was the guy,
Yeah,
right?
I think that was the guy, yeah. So it was said that they were later married in Berlin and had a very special, and had their wedding, had a very special guest at their wedding, Adolf Hitler.
What was his gift, though?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Do you think Hitler gave like a nice gift, a nice wedding present?
Oh my God, it was probably dope.
He probably didn't stay within the registry.
Probably his own book.
Yeah, oh yeah. I bet you he would. I bet you he
He's
would
like-
give you his own book.
he's
That
like,
fucking
listen.
prick.
Check this book out. It's gonna change.
Yeah.
I signed it.
Have
I
you read
signed
my
it.
book yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know, Adolf. We know,
The
dude.
mandate for leadership.
Yeah, right. He just carries copies around. Hey, have you read my book?
You guys like paintings? You guys like art?
No one read my book.
Yeah, like, yeah.
All right, so now let's shift from fascist to a full-blown rock stars. Tara Brown was part of the Guinness bloodline also. Okay, so Tara Brown was the son of a man named Unog Guinness and also heir to the Guinness fortune.
Was he Irish?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably butchering this name.
Yeah.
But it's like spelled Oonagh.
That's what she said last night.
They just throw letters in there and go, yes, this means Blake. You're like, what? How?
So by the mid 1960s, he was a central figure in London's counterculture scene, and his house was a constant party spot. Right? They even said that he was friends with he was type of like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Bowie. Like it was like a big party scene. So in 1966, at 21 years old, Tara was speeding through South Kensington Tara is a guy. Tara was speeding through South Kensington in his Lotus Elan, supposedly on the way to a party when he crashed it into a parked van. He died in the hospital shortly after, but the tragedy inspired the opening line for the Beatles songs, A Day in the Life. So it's one of the most haunting cultural echoes of the Guinness. Basically, it's a pretty popular Guinness tragedy that the Beatles actually wrote about.
Is this curse related?
So this is the thing. This is where this curse is coming from, because there's a lot of people in the Guinness family. All right.
I mean,
21
21 kids.
21
half
kids,
of them
kids. Half of them.
Yeah,
kids,
half of them
kids.
lived. It's a $1 billion company. Is this a curse, or is this just rich people being rich and not knowing how to deal with it? What do you guys think?
This is rich people 101. Yeah.
Well, the assassination thing, that was okay. That's political.
The assassination thing was kind of
21-year-old, I can see it. He's a social
You know what?
elite.
Are poor people getting into other people's countries' businesses? No.
Sorry, I'm making a point.
So yeah, it's a rich.
So if
person
you
thing.
got like $500 million right now, what would you do with it?
Well, I'm different. I didn't grow up with $500 million.
I'll answer for Victor. Hookers and blow.
Really?
Nah, probably not.
At least half of that. Yeah.
2 chicks at the same time, man.
Yeah,
But that's the whole thing.
I feel like because people that grow up with that kind of money don't know consequence, and they don't know a life of wanting. Like, because anything they want, they can get.
There's no fear. I'm assuming also, right?
There's no fear.
There's
They
like
have
a there's like a
unlimited
thrill for life
Yeah.
because when you have everything around you,
There's no
at
risk.
your fingertips. Yeah, you have everything around your fingertips. Like you're looking for that excitement.
That's why they start stealing artwork.
Did you never see the Thomas Crown Affair?
Wait, I think that's a movie.
I'm not sure.
I was gonna say is that like some sort of movie joke
that Nicolas
none of us
Cage?
saw.
That's several movies, actually. I mean, you have Ocean's 12.
Was he rich?
The French guy
Ah, the French guy.
was rich.
yeah.
The egg
That-
stealing guy.
Yeah.
That scene
rich.
with the
You have-
lasers.
That was a great scene.
That was a
That was a
great
great scene.
Magnificent.
You have the Thomas Crown Affair, where he was like this really rich guy. He was bored and he would just steal paintings.
Is that Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah.
That's my dude.
With Catherine Zeta-Jones?
No, that was the one with Sean Connery where she dips between lasers.
Yes, yes. You need lasers.
You always need lasers in a museum. You can't secure shit without lasers.
I don't know, but a lot of people dying, a lot of people getting in car crashes, overdoses, families getting torn apart. This is how things are coming up as possibly having a Guinness curse. And it doesn't stop.
So, but as they're dying off, right? The company is doing great, I'm assuming.
The company's killing it.
And are they still in control of the company?
I think they're just heirs.
Okay, so they're
They're
just
usually-
collecting a check.
They're just collecting a check.
See, that's your problem right there.
They're not working.
They're not working.
They need to get up for something.
Yeah.
They need to be destroying that company, driving it to the ground.
Have any of them been inceptioned?
Oh,
Like a
not yet.
competitor can inception them
yeah.
into dissolving their company.
Wasn't he a Guinness guy in the movie? He owned something.
Killian Murphy?
Yeah.
It was energy company. It was an energy company.
So some theories say that the Guinness family is cursed due to an ancient Irish folklore that by building their wealth on the land and resources of the Irish people, they unknowingly angered the Fae, which is like some sort of fairy. In Irish mythology, disturbing a fairy ring, which is like an area like where they believe that these fairies lived, and cutting down some of these like sacred hawthorn trees to build their factories, it's said that if you do that, you bring on like great misfortune to your family. So one specific legend warns that the construction on or near a fairy fort, which is I was looking up what a fairy fort was. It's apparently like this ancient ring-shaped earthwork, and apparently they're scattered around Ireland. So if you build near that, it brings curses not onto you but onto your bloodline, and that's apparently what the Guinness factory did.
Why can't they just build it somewhere else? It's a beer factory. I feel like you can just move it.
And there's also some whispers that members of the family dabbled in the occult, that someone made a pact or invited something that cannot be undone. And they were saying that's why they might have signed a 9,000-year lease.
Hear me out. 9,000 divisible by 3.
Oh, shit.
The devil deals in threes.
That's really good.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
We just figured that. We figured that out.
So 9,003, the devil. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, okay.
I like it.
Yeah. Why it's still the business still doing great?
What do you think about that? Would you make a deal with the devil?
Yeah,
To
probably.
be extremely rich, but
I
all your
am ready to
family blood. Like, would you take on a blood curse?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Prices are crazy. Fuck it.
He lived till 78, double the average age.
Listen,
Had 21
And
kids.
lost half his kids.
price of doing business.
Yeah.
But half survived.
Chris, what do you think? Would you take on a blood curse?
No, personally, no.
Okay. Good talk.
Do you think that this family is cursed? Do you think that they actually
I
took
mean,
something on?
It does sounds like just like what Victor said before, because they're rich and they're just
And there's so many of them.
right. So they're like They're just saying whatever they, whatever.
So it's just statistics.
All right, so
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, so half of the children died, right? And I'm assuming
Half of his children.
half of
died,
his,
yeah.
and I'm assuming that's just natural causes, right? And then just whatever.
Tuberculosis.
Right.
One fell in
Just-
the beer vat.
Got kicked by a horse.
Yeah.
the times.
The usual stuff,
The usual stuff.
Dysentery.
Yeah, dysentery.
Then the two major ones are the 21-year-old and then the foreign.
Yeah. He was assassinated
Okay.
at his house.
Are there any other major things that you're about to talk about?
So 1978, it's called the year it all fell apart for them. Peter Guinness, 4 years old, died in a car crash with his father, John, who was behind the wheel, and just kind of a devastating loss for a 4-year-old kid. Another 17-year-old family member, this was like an unnamed person, but he died of a suspected drug overdose. Major Dennis Guinness was recently under police investigation for related to a firearms charges. He was found dead in a remote cottage under mysterious circumstances. And to top it off, Lady Henrietta Guinness, she was 35 years old. She struggled with depression and threw herself off of the medieval Pont delle Torri Bridge in Spoleto, Italy. Her famous last words were, "If I had been poor, I would have been happy."
Says a
Yeah.
rich person who's
Only
never
rich
been
people
poor.
will say that. Yep.
Yeah, right?
So far, man, I'm not seeing the curse, bro. I'm just seeing a lot of just rich.
Oh, it was
a
a
lot of-
pretty big year, man. A pretty
Yeah,
big
but-
year.
At
You're
this
not
point,
seeing a
though,
curse?
by
The fairies.
1978, hold on, but by 1978, how many of these people are they still having like family reunions? Are they still even talking to each other? You know what I'm saying? Like half of them are like what, third cousins,
Yeah.
second, third cousins at this
Yeah, very
point.
distant removed. Yep. Just all under the Guinness umbrella.
I barely talk to my first cousins, let alone third cousins.
And it seems like a lot of them were into drugs, depressed.
The car accidents is just unfortunate.
Well, you're taking bigger risks, right? If you can't afford a high-speed car, you ain't getting into no high-speed car accident.
If he had a Peugeot 206, he'd be fine. Or a VW.
Well, we don't know the details from the car crash. Was he going crazy? He could have just could have been out of his control.
So you're still saying it's not a curse. So let's do a little mini game then. Let's look at some of these headlines and you tell me, right, if this is a real death or a fake one. Guinness heir dies in freak horse-drawn caravan crash. True or false?
True?
True.
I'm gonna say maybe true.
And you would be right.
No, that happens all the
I
time.
was gonna say
Yeah.
yeah.
Those things are dangerous.
So that was Shalene Rose Nugent, who is also a Guinness heir. And in 1998, she experienced something spooked the horse. They still don't know. And it sent the caravan crashing to her death. Guinness relative gets trapped inside a giant beer vat.
True.
Yeah, that's probably true.
True.
False. Never happened. They died a million other ways, but not in the beer vat. German prince dies from injecting cocaine every 24 hours. Every hour for 24 hours.
I say true.
It's false.
I'm gonna go with false too.
So that was actually Count Gottfried von Bismarck. He was not in the Guinness, but he was tied to another Olivia Channon, who also died in a drug overdose. And they were in their flat together, and they just did a basically day-long cocaine binge and died. So that was true. So I don't know. It seems like they just have a drug problem. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I think
curse,
it's
but
less of a curse and more.
It's just
More,
a
I
rich
think,
people problem.
I don't know. The fairies.
Are the fairies peddling cocaine?
There's an underground cocaine fairy.
Yeah,
that we
dude,
don't
I'm
know
not.
about in
I am.
Ireland.
I'm gonna cut this out. I do not want to get involved with the fairy cartel.
You gotta stop them at the border, bro. That's it. Coming from
Do
Do
Canada.
they have walls?
Yeah, they
Does
don't.
Ireland have walls?
They can slide through the wall.
And the wall just got 10 feet taller.
So here's another story. Okay, you tell me what's up with this one. So in 1986, there was the kidnapping of Jennifer Guinness. from her Dublin home. So her husband John came home to find her and his daughter tied up, and the kidnappers demanded $2.6 million as a ransom. They took Jennifer. They held her for 8 days, where she was later rescued unharmed. No ransom was paid. Basically, when I was reading about the story, she was basically telling the kidnappers, like, listen, I'm married to this guy, but he's a distant Guinness. He does not have this type of money. He just has the name. You'll never get the $2.6 million you're asking for. And 8 days later, it was like a standoff, but she was released, unharmed, no issues. But 2 years later, John Guinness died after falling 500 feet from Mount Snowdon in Wales while hiking with the same family.
So what you're telling me, realistically, is this family should not go to the mountains, drive a car, or do drugs?
At all.
I think that's advice for every family.
Yeah, I think that's just general life advice. People should
Just don't
take.
go outside.
So yeah, I mean, so what do you think? It's a curse? It's not a curse? It's just rich
it's
people
called
being rich?
It's called curse of being rich all your life.
Did you find any more information on the fairies? I'm curious about more, like...
Forget about the people dying. Chris wants to know historical facts. Fairies.
I want to know the fairies.
All right. Hold on. To lift a fairy curse, you'll need to understand the nature of the curse and its origins, as different curses may require unique solutions, potentially involving magic rituals or actions that appease the fae.
Is there a wand involved?
So in this situation, they're thinking that they built on the fairy forts.
So yeah, many fairy curses are rooted in contracts or agreements made by the fae, made with fae creatures, and breaking these contracts may be the key to lifting the curse.
So do we think that this 9,000-year-old lease was some sort of contract?
Like a
with the fae?
contract?
In some fairy tales, love or acceptance, despite a cursed appearance, can break the curse. So again, we need to find love. That's how they stop it.
Always comes down to that.
Always comes down to
Now,
that.
who
Always
needs to find love?
All the Guinnesses.
All the Guinness family together need to find
Or is
love.
it the original kids? If they're still alive?
Or do they need to find it within themselves? Because that's where
All
it
the
was all
original kids
along.
are dead.
Well, that's the problem.
That was
Let's
like
get them back.
1700s.
Let's get them back.
No, you got to find it within yourself. It was in you all along.
So what do you think? You think it's a curse?
I don't think it's a curse. I think it's just a series of unfortunate events. No, I mean that's
Was
the
it
whole
Lemony
thing.
Snicket?
That's the whole thing. I mean, you have a very wealthy family. They're a huge family. They have unlimited money. They're well known. All these kids are super young, right? Even one of them jumped off a bridge and said, "If I was poor, I'd be happy." So it's probably the same type of thing there, you know?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the whole curse. What I'm seeing is just
Being rich is miserable.
no.
I mean, the rest of them were having fun, right?
Yeah, those
Oh, they were having
those
fun.
drug addicts. They're probably having fun doing drugs. So I don't see the actual curse. I just see like an unfortunate events. Numbers.
I just said that.
Yeah, I know, but
I think,
Said it
guys,
better.
it's just a series of unfortunate events. Chris, what do you think?
I don't think it's...
wait, are we doing our final thoughts?
Yeah,
'Cause-
we're doing a final.
Let me Google.
Oh,
it,
you
what I
didn't.
want to say. Now, I do have a question. What would make it a curse?
I don't know. If they found some evidence of fairies somewhere...
Oh my god!
If they found some kind of booklet or scrolls...
Do you have fairies in Korea?
Kind of. It's like an old... Like
It's like fairies that have died and then come back as fairies.
it's like more of like a Lucky Charm kind of like fairies where they like pray to like something like that. But it's like an old myth, like
I mean, if your whole bloodline is just dying off, how is that not a curse?
Yeah, but you know what? This isn't. Listen, rich people curses isn't a new thing. We have it with
JFK
old
family, right?
old Roy. Yeah, they have the Kennedys. I think the Vanderbilts had a curse as well. This is what happens when people have too much money.
Right, because there are a lot of things I would do if I had money, but since I don't do it.
Or even worse,
Like
yeah,
like go out to dinner.
but it's not even new. Imagine your life growing up with money, like endless amounts of money. Like, what risks would you have taken? What dumb shit would you have done?
Super wealthy people just have a different outlook.
Completely.
There's
Yep.
no consequences. They don't care. The game is on their side always.
Right. There's no problem that money couldn't solve you. So you would just throw money at whatever issues you had. Want to travel to Europe with your friends? Yeah, no problem. Take the private jet. Want to spend, buy out clubs, have the time of your life, VIP rooms, girls, everything you want, bought and paid for. Now, does it bring you happiness? Probably not. But I mean, as a teenager or a young adult, shit, you're on the top of the world. You're fucking invincible.
Have you ever heard of another family with a curse? Another prominent family with a curse?
I mean, Chris just named one off.
The Kennedys?
Yeah.
Even though even though those are like unfortunate events, I do say their family is cursed, just because it feels like every one of the Kennedys are just getting killed somehow.
The one that's around now is controlled by a worm, so
He's the strongest one of
even
them.
there.
He's dead. It's a symbiotic relation. The worm is keeping him. It's like Venom in Spider-Man.
Measles happens all the time.
Vitamin D for measles.
Now, if you would have told me, like, let's say out of the surviving kids, maybe the firstborn always died, then you can be like, oh, okay, something's up.
So you need something more.
Something
You need a little
else. Something else that's a little bit more kind of connects all of them, right? Okay.
Right, and then every firstborn dies of a like heart attack or something every like 10 years.
Yeah.
So you need something that's a little bit more out of the ordinary, other than rich people die
Yeah.
of drug overdose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Car crash, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
We have the Grimaldi family.
The pizza?
Von Erich family. Oh, yeah, the Von
Russians?
Erich family. No, the wrestlers from...
Oh, right.
they just
right,
did the movie The Claw.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, that was a curse. That was a family curse. There's the Habsburg royal family was cursed twice. Hemingway's family apparently had a curse. The Getty family.
Do poor families get cursed?
Yeah, I don't think poor families get cursed. I think being
The
poor
Have you seen these
Rockefellers. The Rockefellers had a curse. So it's a rich person problem.
Yeah, I don't think poor people can afford a curse.
All right, so key takeaways. Victor, what do you think?
I don't think it's a curse. My bigger question is who came up with the rule to drink to the split the G? Because I've only discovered this recently. I tried to do it. It's very hard to do. Or it needs quite some practice. And I just want to know where that came from.
Chris?
Like I said before, I don't think it's a curse, but it's just a series of unfortunate events. Like you said, Rob.
Do you have any original thoughts of your own to bring to this? Or are you just going to take what Rob said?
I already said it before.
All right, Caesar.
Caesar, go first so Chris can just repeat it in Korean.
Crazy that.
Like I said, I think it's just a rich people problem. But other than that, I mean, I never heard this story before. Like, I never heard of this whole curse thing with the Guinness family. So, I'm trying to be funny. It is my first time hearing about this.
I mean, next time you go to the bar. Next time you go to the bar,
Look into it.
look into it. Look into it. Ask the bartender when you order a Guinness.
You know how many people died doing this video? It's weird. Might be a curse.
You want to Guinness? No. I'll take a Stella.
My final verdict, I don't think is a curse. I think for me to say it's a curse, I think there needs to be another element that some would say supernatural element, like I talked about earlier, that would probably make it seem a little bit more of a curse. Right now, it just seems like, lifestyle, and yeah.
So if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to name drop this podcast to your friends and family. We encourage you to be an active part of our community. Whether you have questions, suggestions, or just want to share your thoughts on topics we cover, we want to hear from you. To stay updated on new content and to join in the discussion, check us out on Twitter at I'm Not Dumb But, and leave us some comments on our Facebook page. Stay curious.
Later.
Deuces.